It's time for NaNoJouMo 2016, page 2. Take time to subscribe to my channel by hitting the button in the lower right-hand corner. The prompt for NaNoJouMo day 2 that I'm following is bloom. So this time I'm using my recycled old book that I have started using a while back. I've taken out some of the pages, some of the parts of this, and have done a lot of journaling in here, mostly using my dilutions paints. And as you can see, I have some backgrounds here that never got past the background stage. So this one I did just recently on Sunday, and I love the rich colors of this. So I decided that I'm going to use this. Now I didn't know what to do, so I pulled out my big blue box of clippings and pictures and sayings that I have. Now it's been upgraded into a full-size lateral filing cabinet, but I'll still refer to it as big blue box. And I'll put a link to the video where I show my organization of all these things. And I came across a lot of different floral pictures that I had there. And I have this woman that I just thought was all glamour and stuff. And I'm kind of debating between using that one and that one. And as I look, I really like the red one, but I wanted the extra pop of color to go with the phrase that I chose for this page. So after stopping and finishing the fussy cutting, which I absolutely hate doing, I decided to go back to my original plan, which is always a good idea. So when you're doing NaNoJouMo, or any journaling page, don't think that you have to always start with a blank page. I know some people, they were preparing for NaNoJouMo and they went and they jelly printed 30 pages so they would have something to start off with. So don't be afraid to go and use some of those backgrounds. That's half the time of a journal page right there. One day you might create a background, the next day you're going to finish the journal page. It might take you 3-4 days to finish a journal page, depending on what you have available. For me, I just went through what I had in my stash, and I found the pictures and the quote already printed out. And I'm always amazed when those two things come together and create a page that just looks to be meant to be. Because this is glossy paper, the floral is glossy paper, and you can see it's the back of a calendar. I'm using my gel medium. I find that that works better with magazine and thicker papers, like from the back, from a card, from a calendar. And I want to get rid of some of that shine that comes with it because it was kind of glossy paper. So I'm just using my Liquitex matte gel, and I'm putting it on the background and sometimes on the back of the piece that I want to adhere as well. I'm looking forward, and I'm seeing that the prompt for the next day is fashionable, and I could have totally used this picture, this page for that one, but I'm using it as day 2, so I'll just have to dig a little deeper and come up with something else from my stash for tomorrow's prompt. So giving this a quick dry. And I guess I could have cut out this part of this page, but I want to show this has been speeded up. This video has been speeded up to 2 times the actual time. So let's rather slow in comparison, but because my upload speed is so much faster here, I can slow down the videos and upload longer videos and not take an hour and a half. In the past, a 15-minute video would take me at least an hour and a half, 2 hours to upload. In my new residence, that takes me 4 minutes to upload. Huge, huge, huge difference. So now, believe it or not, I have this quote already printed out on regular copy paper. Now, I could take this and trace it onto deli paper and adhere it that way, and the color would seep through. But I kind of like the white against this page. And sometimes every page I find needs white, black, and well, it's me, so it's going to have gold as well, a little bit of shimmer. So my printer was running out of ink and it didn't print exactly evenly, so I'm just using my Micron pen to beef up the color a little bit, to make it a little bit more bold. So the quote says, "Live colorfully, be the most brilliant color in the box." So when you're using your fonts, when you're printing off using the computer, download some free fonts. And I'm going to do a series on my blog where I highlight some of the fonts that I like to use on my art journal pages. They do make a difference. The size matters, the shape and the form of it. Sometimes that is as critical as the colors that you use on the page. So right now I'm using my Stabilo All Pencil to outline and kind of shade around the tulip. Now this is going to make the tulip fit and blend more into the page. So I'm activating it with water on a small round brush. And that's just adding a little bit of shade. You can work this color out a little bit and build up more shade or less shade as you see fit. Everybody sees and likes things a little bit differently, and you need to find your way. If you don't have a Stabilo All Pencil, and I'll put a link in my Amazon store down below to the Stabilo All Pencils if you're interested in purchasing them. But if you don't want to go buy something new, you can use watercolor pencils. You can use a charcoal pencil and just instead of activating it with water, just rub it with the blending tool or rub it with your finger. You can use a gelato, although being thicker, that's going to be a little bit more difficult. You might want to just rub it on the cutting mat, on the non-stick mat, and liquefy it and paint with a brush to get that effect. The thing here is you can use what you have. Don't feel the need to go out and buy all the products you see everybody using. You probably have a product in your stash that will do a very similar job. I also use my Neocolor 2s, my black, at times, or my Inktense blocks for the same purpose. And they all give a slightly different effect, but you don't need them all. You just, you can just have one. If you're limited in what you can go out and buy, don't buy different products that can basically do the same thing. So I'm just adding a little bit of internal shading in the flower, just to add a little bit more depth and shadow in here. And I'm always, because I put matte gel on top of this will blend and flow a little bit easier than if it was just untreated paper. You see many people use their Faber-Castell pit pens and shade on a non-porous surface. I don't have the pit pens, but this would be a time that I might use them just to build up and kind of make that flower your own. Speaking of the flower, I sourced this from a calendar that had flowers or tulips, which I love. And I had saved it for years, and I had long before I ever even dreamed of art journaling. And they're just perfect. So come the new year, go and buy some of these calendars that are on sale. Or better yet, talk to your neighbors, talk to your coworkers, and see if they're willing to just give you some of their old calendars to recycle them. My friend even got a whole bunch of calendars, variety of calendars from a yard sale. So you don't have to pay a lot. So I'm just using some craft paint. I think this is my Deco Art Black and the Ranger blending tool. And I'm just putting some black around the edges. And I find that this frames the iCAD that I'm working on, or the ATC, or the journal page. I find I pretty much do it on every page, sometimes with the blending tool, sometimes with the Stabilo all pencil, sometimes the Intense block. Again, same effect, different tool. But I'm kind of using the plastic cutting board, and I'm starting it on the plastic cutting board and then rubbing it onto the paper. Now the secret here is light pressure and build up the layers a little bit at the time. Don't try to get the end effect right away. Slow it down, and you'll probably be a little bit happier with it. Now the sponge foam that's velcroed on there, to clean that, all I do is I put it in a little bit of water with my pre-mixed Murphy's oil soap and dish soap. And that cleans them up pretty quick, as long as you're pretty, put it in right after you're done working with it. It comes out and lengthens the life of that sponge. So I'm using a fan brush, and I'm adding water to some gold paint. And I think this gold paint is Martha Stewart Metallic multi-surface paint. And I'm just doing some splatters. And what you saw me there, I just used some deli paper, and I just kind of masked off the girl in the black dress because I didn't want the gold paint on her. So I was tapping it with my finger, and I'm tapping it with another brush. And I want a combination of bigger drops and littler drops. Now in a minute you're going to see me, if you get a drop that you don't like, that's kind of smudged or a little too big, you can take a wet baby wipe or a wet cloth and just kind of dab it off. I really didn't want any of the gold on the flower, so I'm wiping it off, being careful to avoid the Stabilo all pencil. I've watched videos where people have said that the Stabilo is permanent when it's dry. That definitely has not been my experience. So I don't know if there's different types of Stabilo all pencils, but that's something to be cautious of. Also, going back to when I outlined the tulip with the Stabilo all pencil, if my background was done with Inktense blocks or watercolor or gelatos or Neocolor 2s or anything, or sprays, anything that's water soluble, activating it with a water brush probably isn't going to be the best route to take, because you're going to smudge the background. Now this page was done with Dilutions paints, so I know it's permanent, so I don't have to worry. It's not better or worse, it's just you need to know what products you're using and what's going to happen if you add water after the fact. And like most of us, you're going to learn by trial and error, mostly error. So I'm just using the blending tool, and I'm just edging these white papers. I just want to grunge them up just a little bit. And again, I'm using the black. There's black in the print, there's black in the woman in the dress, and I put black on the background. So it works together. If you have the color someplace, you need to add the color someplace else. So again, back using my gel medium and just putting it on. Now my gel medium, the paper that I have this on is just plain copy paper, and it kind of starts to rub off when I try to press it down. So you will see me going back and using my micron pen to darken the letters because it kind of rubbed off a little bit as I was rubbing the brush on it and trying to get it to lay flat. If I had used my a little bit more expensive paper, I would have avoided that problem right there. However, I didn't, and there's always a way to fix it. And that's the thing too that you need to realize, that anybody that's doing mixed media or doing art journaling isn't perfect. We just know that if there's a mistake made, something didn't turn out the way we wanted, we go and we fix it later on. And there you see me just going back with this micron pen, making it a little bit darker. It's a quick, easy fix for a little problem. I'm outlining this with the micron pen because it just seems to need a little bit more weight. It seems to not have enough weight on it. And I'm realizing that it's still not dark enough. I don't have enough around it. So I'm going back in with my Stabilo all pencil and activating it with the water brush like I did when I outlined the tulip. Just pressing it out just to make the quote look like it belongs on the page a little bit more. And it kind of makes it pop a little bit. Would you have to do both? Probably not. But sometimes you don't know what effect is going to work or not work. So we try one thing and then try another. So when you see the video, we don't cut out what really didn't work. We just go on and continue till we get the effect that is pleasing to our eye. If you liked it the way it was, just outlining it, then leave it there. There is no right or wrong. There's just your opinion. I'm sorry that this is a little bit off camera. I zoomed in to give you a close-up and did not zoom out right away. And I'm drying it so I don't smudge the Stabilo all pencil when it's wet. Just going to sign my name with the date. And a close-up so you can see the textures and the designs that I use. I did a lot of overlaying of different stencils and different stamps with the Dilutions paints. Now this is another one that I did that is also for the same prompt, and I basically followed the same process, cutting out the tulips, gluing them down with gel medium, outlining them with Stabilo ball pencil, finding a phrase, which I also happened to find. And, you know, it's my page, so it's got to have some gold on it. Decided that I'm just going to put a little bit of gold. I'm just going to rub with my finger, and then I grab the blending tool and decide that those little swirls are actually texture paste. So they're raised, and I just want to catch the gold on there. And I think that'll look really nice with the yellow that's there. Now, of course, I use the same blending tool that I use with the black, so it's not a pristine gold. It's kind of more of an antique kind of gold, but that's okay. I'm really liking the overall look of it. Just want a little bit of that gold along the edges. And because I have the black underneath it, it's really going to show up. And that's a trick. If you want the silver or the gold or something to show up, put a darker color underneath it, and then it really makes it pop. I'm really liking how the yellow really pops on the blue-green background. And the water droplets that are on the tulip kind of match the circle stencil that I used in other places. So there's both pages for the same prompt, bloom. Here's some close-ups. Enjoy!